This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, mga Angeles, and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila and Indonesia. Hello, December.
Hello, Alma. Hello, I'm bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region. On today's headlines.
Octa Research Fellow Dr. Guido David said the daily positivity rate in the National Capital Region has increased to over 5%. And there is concern it may not be just a holiday uptick.
Vietnam confirms its first Omicron infection in a person who recently returned from the UK. Our EBC correspondent Ace Powers will give us an update.
To the island nation of Maldives, where Health Protection Agency has announced its decision to mandate PCR testing to all inbound travelers. Steffi Diwan will give us an update.
The United States government on Wednesday announced an additional $19 million, approximately 950 million pesos in humanitarian aid to help communities affected by Typhoon Odette, bringing its total assistance to the Philippines to more than 1 billion pesos.
First in our news, Octa Research Fellow Dr. Guido David said the daily positivity rate in the National Capital Region has increased to over 5% as of Monday. He also said the cases are projected to hit 1,200 with at least 400 in the NCR by December 29. He also said this was the first time the positivity rate in Metro Manila has risen above 5% since October 24. In its latest report, the group noted that the 7-day positivity rate in the NCR region was now at 2.4%. He also admitted that this is not just a holiday uptick and warned the public that the situation in the NCR is changing. He also advised the public to be very mindful of following the minimum health protocols.
Confirms its first Omicron infection in a person who recently returned from the UK. Our EBC correspondent in Vietnam, Ace Powers, is very eager to give us an update. Hello, Ace.
Hello, Alma. That's correct. For the breaking news, Vietnam Minister of Health confirmed first case of Omicron variant of coronavirus in the country. Deputy Minister of Health Nguyen Chong Son said the infected person arrived 9 days earlier at Hanoi's Noi Bai International Airport and is now isolated at the 108 Military Hospital. This passenger who arrived in Hanoi from the UK has been confirmed as Vietnam's first COVID-19 case with the Omicron variant. Vietnam Minister of Health on December 21st confirmed the new variant has raised alarm since it was first identified in late November of this year, increasing high numbers of mutations and rapid human transmission. Report says 80 countries have detected the new variant, including Japan, Singapore, South Korea, and Australia. That's the latest news here in Vietnam. Back to you, Steph.
Thank you so much, Ace, for that update, and please do stay safe.
Once again, this is Ace Volunteer reporting live Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Ace. Meanwhile, Thailand's Ministry of Public Health will produce to the cabinet at its first meeting of the new year that it considers resuming working from home To contain the highly transmissible variant of Omicron, live with us is Jomer Baldo from our EBC Thailand Bureau. Hello, Jomer. Please tell us more.
Hello, Alma. Yes, Thailand's Ministry of Public Health proposes to get back to the work from home scheme for government staff and officials after the expected large gatherings and get-together parties during the long New Year holidays. Such social activities pose spike in the cases of Omicron variant of COVID-19. The private sector is also being encouraged to do the same precautions by encouraging staff to do the work from home. Furthermore, online classes may be brought back as another safety measure for unvaccinated school-aged children. Deputy Public Health Minister Satit Petutitsa said on Tuesday that their agency will receive reports on the outcomes of these crowd assemblies for the first 2 weeks of January. This will enable the ministry to effectively decide if on-site work is for resumption. He admitted that it is impossible to prevent people from gathering together during the New Year break and becoming exposed to the infection. Earlier, the Ministry of Public Health has urged everyone to avoid crowded places and to be vigilant of the heavily mutated variant. The Deputy Minister remarked that if everyone cooperates and the number of new cases after New Year does not jump, measures should be relaxed. He added that the situation will not be as bad as the experience in April after the Songkran Festival, even if there are more Omicron cases because the variant is less deadly than the Delta. Meanwhile, for the update on the kingdom's COVID-19 situation, there were 17 more fatalities and 2,575 new cases registered during the previous 24 hours as reported by the Public Health Ministry. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much for that update, Jomer. And you do stay safe, especially this coming New Year's. Oh, will there be any celebrations there? Any fireworks? Or are they also halted for the celebrations?
I believe that they are planning to
okay.
do their planning. Yes. So that's the latest news here in EBC Thailand Bureau. I am Jomer Baldo, and we live in interesting times.
Now to the island nation of Maldives, where Health Protection Agency, or HPA, has announced its decision to mandate PCR testing to all inbound travelers. Here's Steffi, the one joining us live. Hello, Steffi.
Hi, December. Yes, this is just a quick update for those people who really want to come here in Maldives. Health Protection Agency, or HPA, has announced its decision to mandate PCR testing to all inbound travelers to the Maldives, including local and work permit holders. In a statement released by HPA, they said that they have decided to implement additional measures as the COVID-19 variant, Omicron, is widely spreading across the world. On this note, the first measure announced is to mandate PCR tests for all inbound travelers to the Maldives, requiring them to present a negative PCR test taken 96 hours prior to departure from the first port of embarkation. Toddlers who are below the age of 1 will be exempt for this rule. In addition to this, all inbound travelers except tourists will be required to test a PCR test within 3 to 5 days after their arrival to the Maldives. This is applicable to locals and work permit holders. Recommended doses of the COVID-19 vaccine will be mandated to undergo a quarantine period of 14 days. They will be released from quarantine if the PCR test taken following the 14 days is negative. Children below the age of 12 will be exempt from this rule. Maldives has confirmed a total of 5 Omicron cases so far. And that's my quick update from Maldives. Back to you, December.
Thank you so much, Steffi, for the update, and do stay safe in Maldives.
Reporting live from Maldives, this is Steffi Juan, and we live in interesting times.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Air Force has transported 2,275 tons of relief goods to areas affected by the onslaught of Typhoon Odette. As of today, the PAF transported a total of 2,275 tons of relief goods such as rice, water, canned goods, and toiletries, as well as generator sets and water tanks. That, according to PAF spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Maynard Mariano in a statement on Tuesday night. The PAF also ferried 99 locally stranded individuals from Siargao to the Villamor Air Base in Pasay City on December 28 alone. Meanwhile, Mariano also said personnel from the 355th Aviation Engineer Wing, along with several heavy equipment, were deployed from Basa Air Base to Mactan, Cebu, to assist in the planning for recovery and rehabilitation of the typhoon-stricken areas. Two S-701 Black Hawk combat utility helicopters also delivered relief goods, 60 sacks of rice and 30 sacks of assorted goods and medicine to Cagayancillo Island, Palawan. The Philippine Army's humanitarian assistance, meanwhile, and disaster response or HADR operations continue in areas and communities ravaged by the typhoon.
The Philippine National Police has discouraged the public from using firecrackers for the New Year revelries for a safer and peaceful celebration. In the December 28 Laging Handa briefing, PNP spokesperson Colonel Roderick Agustus Alba said the regulated fireworks use is a whole of government approach that must be supported by all stakeholders. Take a look.
Ito ay a whole of government approach. It is an interagency effort. At of course, dapat suportahan ito ng ating mga stakeholders, lalo na itong mga binigyan na ng permit, no, Ma'am Rocky, in our communities, that they should abide with the permits given to them by the local government units. Kami naman sa PNP will ensure na yung Executive Order 28 in relation sa Republic Act 7183 sa pagtutulungan with the Bureau of Fire Protection kasama yung Department of Health to ensure that the minimum public health standard will be ensured, no, sa lalo na sa maka-attract ng maraming tao, no, during sa pagpaputok. So ito, Ma'am Rocky, they should limit ito sa firecracker zones duly designated by the local government units, at kung ano yung mga bawal ay bawal at talagang wag po nilang ipilit, no, i-distribute or ibenta, because it will be subjected for confiscation, even to the arrest, no, ng mga possessor ng mga illegal na firecrackers and pyrotechnics. Kaya nga po kami ay we are adjustable, no? Naging flexible yung ating PNP kung saan kinakailangan marami yung latag dapat doon. So anyway, we'll remind, no, yung ating mga directors na to enhance further, no, yung kanilang police presence, kasi ang inaalagaan natin dito is yung safety and the security. But sa part po ng PNP, I'd like to take this opportunity, Yusek Rocky, na kami sa part sa PNP, kung pwede nga, we discourage yung paggamit ng firecrackers during the celebration ng New Year. Kasi we have so many ways, no, in celebrating this peacefully without hurting somebody using firecrackers.
The PNP has been coordinating with the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, for the designation of firecracker zones to ensure security. The official said they are looking into criminality concerns, the observance of minimum public health standards, and the prevention of fire incidents during the selling and distribution of firecrackers. The Department of Health reported that there have been 23 fireworks-related injuries as of December 27, which is 92% higher than last year's figures. While there is no specific guideline yet on the sealing of PNP personnel's firearms, Alba said the PNP leadership is very strict in reminding all cops not to use guns outside their duty to serve and protect.
In other news, the Philippines has ordered 2 new warships from South Korea's Hyundai Heavy Industries, according to Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzano on Tuesday, modernizing Manila's Navy as it faces a dispute with Beijing in the South China Sea. Tuesday's 28 billion pesos or $556 million deal with the South Korean shipbuilding giant comes 5 years after the firm also won a contract to build 2 new frigates for the Philippine Navy. Corvettes and frigates are small, fast warships mainly used to protect other vessels from attack. This project will give the Philippine Navy 2 modern corvettes that are capable of anti-ship, anti-submarine, and anti-air warfare missions, according to Lorenzana in a speech at the signing ceremony in Manila. He said the deal will ensure commonality and interoperability with our existing assets, as well as ease of maintenance and repairs. Manila has since acquired 2 former U.S. Coast Guard cutters and 3 landing craft from Australia, as well as Coast Guard patrol vessels from Japan, in an effort to bolster its presence in the South China Sea, where it faces a dispute with Beijing. China claims almost all of the waterway through which trillions of dollars in trade passes annually, with competing claims from Brunei, Malaysia, the Philippines, Taiwan, and Vietnam. Beijing has ignored a 2016 ruling by the Hague-based Permanent Court of Arbitration that its historical claim is without basis.
And cloudy weather with some rains will continue over most parts of the country, the Weather Bureau said Wednesday, December 29. In its 4 a.m. weather bulletin, Pag-asa said cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms will prevail over the Visayas, Mindanao, and Palawan due to the shear line or intertropical convergence zone. Meanwhile, the northeast monsoon or amihan will bring cloudy skies with light rains over Cagayan Valley, Apayao, Kalinga, Ifugao, Mountain Province, Aurora, Quezon, the Bicol region, and the rest of Mimaropa. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated light rains are expected over Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon due to the northeast monsoon. Moderate to strong winds moving northeast will blow over Luzon, the Visayas, and the eastern section of Mindanao with moderate to rough coastal waters. Light to moderate winds heading northeast will be experienced over the rest of Mindanao with slight to moderate coastal waters. The minimum temperature is 23.1 degrees Celsius and the maximum temperature is 29.2 degrees Celsius.
Meanwhile, the city government of Manila released on Tuesday its guidelines on the manufacture, sale, distribution, and use of firecrackers and other pyrotechnic devices in connection with the New Year's Day celebration. Under Executive Order 52, signed by Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso, firecrackers such as Super Lolo, Atomic Big, Triangulo, Mother Rockets, Lolo Thunder, 5-Star, Og, Plapla, Pillbox, Watusi, Piccolo, Giant Whistle Bomb, Big Judas Belt, Large Bawang, Bossa, Goodbye Philippines, Goodbye Earth, Bin Laden, Coke and Can, Kabasi, and other related firecrackers are prohibited within the city. Overweight firecrackers with more than 0.2 grams or 1/3 teaspoon of explosives, including those with short fuses or those that detonate in less than 3 seconds but no more than 6 seconds, are also banned. Further, firecrackers without labels and those which contain sulfur or phosphorus combined with chlorates are prohibited according to the order. The guidelines added that only fireworks community displays shall be allowed within the city of Manila upon the express permission, authorization of the city government by way of fireworks display permit issued for the purpose. Members of the Manila Police District will strictly implement the guidelines.
There is a high probability that the country will remain at alert level 2 until January next year amid the partial increase in COVID-19 cases. This was reported by National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer and Vaccine Czar, Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. after his emergency meeting with several local government units on Tuesday, December 28. According to Galvez, although the COVID-19 situation in the country is stable, LGUs have still been alerted to the rise of new infections. Galvez also said they are monitoring the situation. He also warned the regional interagency task force and local governments, particularly the National Capital Region, about the rise of COVID-19 cases.
And the news continues here on ASEAN in Focus. December and I will be back right after this.
When we watch together, we can win together. Manood po tayo together sa pinakapanalong New Year Countdown ng Net25. Ang Let's Start 2020 Together sa Net25. Kaya tara na! Hindi lang kayo mag-e-enjoy ng todo-todo. Maraming bonggang sorpresa ang naghihintay sa inyo. At baka maging winner pa kayo. Tutok lang together! Sa December 31 na po ito. Dito lang sa Net25.
Welcome back. Save the Children confirmed on Tuesday the deaths of 2 of its staff reported missing after the charred remains of more than 30 people were found in eastern Myanmar on December 25. It is with profound sadness that we are confirming today that 2 members of Save the Children staff were among at least 35 people, including women and children, who were killed on Friday, the 24th of December, in an attack by the Myanmar military in Kaya State, according to the charity in a statement. On Saturday, photos appeared on social media purporting to show 2 burnt-out trucks and a car on a highway in Pruso Township in eastern Kaya State with the charred remains of bodies inside. Local anti-junta fighters and a monitoring group accused junta troops of carrying out the attack in Pruso after clashes with dissidents in the area. The 2 men had been working on a humanitarian response in a nearby community when they were caught up in the attack, according to the charity.
Meanwhile, the United States renewed calls Tuesday for an arms embargo on Myanmar's junta after a Christmas Eve massacre in which Save the Children said 2 of the group's staff were killed. The targeting of innocent people and humanitarian actors is unacceptable, and the military's widespread atrocities against the people of Burma underscore the urgency of holding its members accountable, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said, using Myanmar's former name. The international community must do more to advance this goal and prevent the recurrence of atrocities in Burma, including by ending the sale of arms and dual-use technology to military, he said in a statement. Anti-junta fighters said they found over 3 burnt bodies, including of women and children, on highway in Kaya State, where pro-democracy rebels have been fighting the military. The United States has slapped a series of sanctions on the coup leaders and, like other Western nations, has long restricted weapons to Myanmar's military, which during the pre-coup democratic transition faced allegations of crimes against humanity for a brutal campaign against the Rohingya minority. The UN General Assembly voted in June to prevent arms shipments into Myanmar, but the measure was symbolic as it was not taken up by the more powerful Security Council. China and Russia, which hold veto power on the Security Council, as well as neighboring India, are the major arms providers to Myanmar.
Dozens of Rohingya refugees intercepted after their boat ran into trouble off the coast of Indonesia's Aceh province were being sent into Malaysian waters, according to authorities on Tuesday. At least 100, mostly women and children, aboard a wooden vessel said to be taking on water were denied refuge in Indonesia and instead pushed into the neighboring Southeast Asian country. Despite calls from non-governmental organizations and the UN Agency for Refugees, Indonesian authorities are attempting to send the group back after providing supplies, clothes, and fuel, as well as a technician to fix their damaged boat. We hope the supplies can help the Rohingyas to continue their journey to Malaysia as they planned and intended. Winardi, an Aceh police spokesman, who, like many Indonesians, goes by only one name, told AFP. He said, "We will monitor them until they reach their destination." The wooden boat was first sighted 2 days ago, stranded about 70 nautical miles off the Indonesian coast, according to a local Navy commander. Indonesian authorities have not pushed back Rohingya refugees as strongly as Malaysia or Thailand, instead reluctantly accepting them upon arrival by sea. But Amnesty International and the UNHCR have called on the government to let the stranded group of Rohingya refugees land. This is about life and death, and there are women and children, and we must pay attention to their health, according to Executive Director of Amnesty International Indonesia, Usman Hamid, in a statement. The UNHCR also called on Jakarta to let the boat's passengers disembark, pointing to the unseaworthiness of the boat. Badruddin Yunus, a leader of the local fishing community, told AFP that fishermen who had visited the boat reported that there were 120 people on board, including 51 children and 60 women. He also said the engine was broken and the refugees could not communicate with the local fishermen due to the language barrier. Last year, hundreds of Rohingya who fled persecution in Buddhist-majority Myanmar arrived in Indonesia, and many have since escaped to Malaysia, drawn by its substantial population of more than 100,000 Rohingya.
Dutch prosecutors on Wednesday called for life in prison for 4 suspects on trial in absentia accused of downing Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 over Ukraine with a surface-to-air missile, killing 298 people. The ill-fated flight heading for Kuala Lumpur took off from Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport in July 2014, and prosecutors this week launched closing arguments in the closely watched trial. Take a look.
Wij vorderen de verdachten Girkin, Dubinsky, Pulatov en Garchenko ieder voor het in vereniging doen verongelukken van een vliegtuig met de dood tot gevolg en de moord in vereniging op 298 inzittenden te veroordelen tot een levenslange gevangenisstraf.
A verdict is not expected until late 2022 at the earliest. The 4 suspects on trial are Russian nationals Igor Girkin, Sergei Dubinsky, and Oleg Pulatov, and Ukrainian citizen Leonid Karsenko, accused of launching the Buk missile that hit the plane over war-torn eastern Ukraine. All 4 have refused to appear in court in the Netherlands and are being tried in absentia. Prosecutors have argued this week that the 4 suspects played pivotal roles in securing the Buk system, which was most likely intended to strike a Ukrainian warplane. International investigators say the missile was originally brought from a Russian military base, ostensibly to be used in the fight against Ukrainian forces. Prosecutors said missile's deployment was planned and organized, and that it did not matter whether the suspects made a mistake in targeting a passenger plane. The hearings come as fresh tensions soar over Ukraine, with the West accusing Moscow of planning an invasion. Kyiv has been battling a pro-Moscow insurgency in two breakaway regions bordering Russia since 2014, when the Kremlin annexed Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula. Russia has recently massed troops near Ukraine's borders, and the West has 4 weeks accused it of planning an invasion, warning Moscow of massive sanctions should it launch an attack. Moscow denies the claims, with President Vladimir Putin seeking talks with U.S. counterpart Joe Biden and security guarantees to stand down his troops.
Back here in the country, the U.S. government on Wednesday or today announced an additional $19 million or 950 million pesos in humanitarian aid to help communities affected by Typhoon Odette, bringing its total assistance to the country to more than 1 billion pesos. The U.S. is pleased to announce additional and significant assistance of 950 million, which brings our total amount of aid for Typhoon Odette to over 1 billion, and we stand steadfast with our long-standing friend, partner, and ally in helping support communities devastated by the typhoon, according to U.S. Embassy in the Philippines Chargé d'Affaires ad interim Heather Varieva in a statement. Through the U.S. Agency for International Development Aid, the additional aid will provide food, water, hygiene, supplies, and shelter assistance to the affected population. The new funding is in addition to the 50 million pesos Washington, D.C. announced earlier to support emergency logistics efforts to ensure aid is delivered to those in hard-to-reach areas. The U.S. Embassy in Manila said it also builds on the 10 million pesos assistance that the U.S. aid provided immediately after the storm for food, water, and hygiene supplies, as well as to restore water supply services and sanitation facilities and support hygiene promotion activities. Ms. Variava, meanwhile, is expected to visit the communities affected by Odette and see the ongoing U.S. relief activities.
And worries are growing for Cambodia after its neighbor Thailand reported that it has detected 514 cases of Omicron, with at least 147 designated as local cases. Most worrying are two separate outbreaks from the district of Pachong in Thailand's Surin province, which directly borders Cambodia, and the site of the Osmak International Checkpoint in Odar Minki province. Authorities say that 3 Omicron cases have been found in the district and that at least 49 people are at high risk of infection, which will heighten fears of Omicron entering Cambodia via land border crossings. Cambodian border authorities report that although lower numbers are entering Cambodia through land borders, there are still hundreds crossing every day. Thailand has been hit by a rash of Omicron cases, with outbreaks initially occurring due to foreign visitors and then spreading into the community. Apart from the Surin province outbreaks, Omicron has been reported from 25 pilgrims returning from Saudi Arabia's holy city of Mecca, foreign travelers in the island resort of Koh Samui, as well as possibly 74 cases in popular tourist destination Phuket. Cases have also been reported in the northern province of Chiang Mai. Registration for the test Go Quarantine Exception Scheme has been closed due to the rise in Omicron cases involving travelers entering the country.
Back here in the country, a Makati court has dropped the drug charges against members of the so-called Espinosa drug cartel, including Roland Kerwin Espinosa and Wu Tuan Yuan, aka Peter Ko. In a 13-page order dated December 17, Makati Regional Trial Court, Branch 64, Judge Gina M. Bibat Palamos dismissed the charges for failure of the prosecution to adduce evidence to overturn the presumption of innocence enjoyed by the herein accused. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara said he would meet with prosecutors shortly after their next move following the development. The court ruling granted the demurrers to evidence filed in July by Kerwin, Ko, witnesses Witness Marcelo L. Adorco and Lovely A. Impal questioning the sufficiency of the charges against them and seeking the dismissal of these charges. A demurrer to evidence is a motion to dismiss on the ground of insufficiency of evidence where a defendant cites that the evidence produced by the prosecution is insufficient, whether true or not, to make out a case. The group faced charges for violation of Republic Act 9165 or the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. The case involved a 2013 transaction involving 20 kilograms of shabu at the parking area of Cash and Carry Mall in Makati City. In a statement given, San's counsel Adorco said he met Espinosa in 2011 while he was detained at the Alta Vista Jail in Ormoc City for illegal possession of firearms and helped distribute drugs to inmates. As Espinosa's errand boy after his release from jail, Adorco was tasked to pick up 20 kilograms of shabu from Yuan, who directed him to proceed to the Metropolitan Hospital where Impal, Yuan's drug runner, was waiting. After the transaction, he returned to the Ormoc City Jail where he showed the shabu to Espinosa and then delivered it to a certain Max Miro in Albuera, Leyte. After the initial transaction, he participated in at least 4 more similar delivery activities in Metro Manila.
Meanwhile, the nationwide mock election is being held today, December 29, in 34 voting centers designated by the Commission on Elections. The mock election started in several schools in the National Capital Region, Isabela, Albay, Negros Oriental, Davao del Sur, Leyte, and Maguindanao at 6 o'clock in the morning. Because the national elections will be held amid the presence of the COVID-19 pandemic. Health protocols are being strictly implemented. The wearing of face masks, face shields, and the taking of body temperature is required. There will be an isolation area for those who show signs of COVID-19 symptoms. A voter's assistance desk where the precinct number of a voter will be given will also be present to avoid crowding. According to the COMELEC, they do not expect the mock elections to be perfect. They are, however, hoping to see the possible problems that may be encountered for the upcoming 2022 elections.
In other news, the captain and first mate of freighter MV Wakashio that crashed into a coral reef off Mauritius in July last year have been sentenced to 20 months in prison. The lawyer of Captain Sunil Kumar Nandeshwar says he regards his client's sentence of 20 months in jail as very harsh. Take a look.
La sentence du magistrat, c'est une sentence très dure au vu de l'offense qui avait été commise. C'est extrêmement rare que la Cour ne prend pas en considération les règles de rémission pour un plea of guilty. C'est le cas hier. Donc la Cour a pris en considération, je pense, ce qui s'est passé après que le bateau s'est échoué sur les récifs. Beaucoup de personnes se réjouiront de la sentence, mais malheureusement, moi en tant que légiste, je ne peux pas me réjouir de cette sentence.
The MV Wakashio, a Japanese-owned but Panamanian-flagged vessel, ran aground in July 2020, spilling more than 1,000 tons of toxic fuel into pristine waters, coating mangroves, corals, and other fragile ecosystems. The vessel's captain, Sunil Kumar Nandeshwar, who was convicted by a court in the capital Port Louis last week, admitted drinking during an on-board birthday party. He and First Officer Heti Hanilej Subora Janendra Tilakarantna were found guilty of endangering safe navigation.
The news continues in the ASEAN in Focus. Alma and I will be right back after this short break.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba, sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa new era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Ang inyong pinakabagong gag show.
Dito sa Net25.
Walang iba kundi ang
Rizal
TV!
Welcome back. The Department of Trade and Industry Secretary Ramon Lopez said the agency will release Livelihood Seeding Program or LSP negosyo sa barangay cards to small-scale businesses areas affected by Typhoon Odette starting Thursday. Let's listen in.
Immediately, mga 100 to 150 million pesos ang ating magiging initial assistance. Sa ngayon, ang ready po ang DTI na meron na kaming immediate na pwedeng ibigay ngayon. Meron ng 8.2 million na pangkabuhayan package na pwede na kaagad ibigay. And we will start with the 300 na profiled SMEs, micro. Dito po sa Siargao, yung ating pinuntahan to receive livelihood assistance na 8,000 worth ng mga livelihood kits per beneficiary. At next slide, moving forward, actually this week, naka-schedule, Mr. President, dahil gusto nyo mabilisan, this week, yung pera po na yon, may allocate pa natin to 1,000 beneficiaries nakakalat to sa Region 6, Region 7, 8, at Caraga. Pang simula pa lang ho to, 8 million. Pero as sinabi ko kanina, nag-allocate tayo ng 100 to 150 million. Pero in the interest of time, ito muna ang mauna, yung 8 million. Para this week, meron na tayong mabigyan ng kabuhayan. And then starting January, tuloy-tuloy na ho tayo. Using also the 2022 budget that, of course, we expect to be approved. So yan po ang...
Meanwhile, overseas remittances to Vietnam are estimated to reach 12.5 billion in 2021, an increase of 10% compared to the previous year. Vice Governor of the State Bank of Vietnam, Dao Minh Tu, announced the above figure at a press conference held on December 28. Earlier this month, the World Bank and the Global Knowledge Partnership on Migration and Development forecasted that remittances to Vietnam may attain 18.1 billion in 2021. As such, the country will be the 8th largest remittance recipient in the world and the 3rd largest in the Asia-Pacific region this year. Last year, overseas remittances to Vietnam were 17.2 billion, making Vietnam one of the top 10 beneficiaries among low and middle-income countries.
Back here in the country, the Philippine National Police warned the public to refrain from posting holiday vacation plans on social media. In a briefing, PNP spokesperson Colonel Roderick Alba said such an act gives criminals a hint, an opportunity to break into your homes while the owners are away. Take a look.
Mag-ingat po yung ating mga kababayan. Iwanan po natin yung ating property, yung ating kabahayan. We should not report real time or mag-post, real time sa social media kung saan po kayo pupunta at naiwanan yung bahay nyo. Because that it only gives opportunity, no, or motive yung mga kababayan natin na pagtangkaan po, nakawan or even kunin yung buhay mo. And of course, wag po magdala ng napakaraming personal property, mga alahas, pera. When you travel light, no? Yun lang po. And of course, you should report. May mga hotline yung ating Philippine National Police sa ating isumbong platform na kailangan pong i-report pag may nakita, maging vigilant tayo along the way, i-report kagad so that it will not evolve into a serious crime.
And still in the Philippines, Post Office will issue new postage stamps on December 30 to commemorate the 125th anniversary of the martyrdom of Dr. Jose P. Rizal with this year's theme, Rizal para sa agham, katotohanan at buhay. Jose Rizal, the national hero of the Philippines and pride of the Malayan race, was born on June 19, 1861 in the town of Calamba, Laguna. He was an extremely gifted student and had won literary competitions from a young age. Rizal was a multi-faceted intellectual best known for his two famous novels, The Noli Me Tangere and The El Filibusterismo, which inspired the Philippine Revolution. The postage stamp depicted his life, works, and heroism and featured his inherent love and compassion for the Filipino people and the country. Rizal is also admired for possessing intellectual brilliance, being a doctor, scientist, and linguist. Through his writings, he awakened the Filipino sense of nationalism. With his death, sparked a revolution to overthrow colonial repression.
Thank you, December, for keeping me company today here in ASEAN in Focus.
My pleasure, Ms. Alma, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
That's the latest news in the dynamic ASEAN region. I'm December Paras of EBC Indonesia Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And we'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same place, here on ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.
Pansin ba ninyo, lumiliwanag ang mundo pag magkasama tayo? Life is so much sweeter, everything feels better pag tayong lahat ay together. Let's have fun together, let's play together, kumain, magluto, matuto together, tawanan together, hawak kamay together, we'll be there for each other, we're stronger together. Kaya tara na Filipino, let's get together, let's all come alive. Kaya tara na Filipino, let's get together, Senate 25, Senate 25.